Today, before I go to work, I'm going to transplant these that I bought 2 weeks ago. You can see it's a garden salsa hot pepper, and Mexibel pepper. Over in this section of the garden where I've got the chicken wire, in the back is where I planted garden salsa pepper seeds, and let's see how well we can get in here. This, I'm going to say these are weeds. This might be a garden salsa pepper plant, maybe, but I'm going to go ahead and plant them back here. Get some more weeds out of here. Been weeding all week. And in the front here is where I planted Mexibel seeds. You can see there's some random cilantro. It ended up all over the garden. I don't know what this is. I'm going to call this a weed. So I'll plant the Mexibel up here. So here's a big boy tomato plant that I bought in the pot. And I thought about leaving it in the pot, but I think that's keeping it from growing to its full potential. So I've got a red hoop over here, and what I'm going to do is move it to this bare spot here where I've got other tomatoes. I planted cherry tomato seeds all in there, and you can see a few of the plants are coming up, but for the most part we ended up with weeds in here. Like here's some weeds, these can go. We've got random cilantro, but we've got a few cherry tomato plants. This I believe is a potato. And we've got some raspberries growing up through there. So I'll go ahead and fill in that spot. Over here, I went ahead and I pulled some carrots out of this bunch over here and transplanted them in these bare spots. I ended up weeding in here. There's a lot of weeds. I planted a lot of cilantro, and some of it's coming up and some of it isn't. But I mean, it's all over the garden everywhere, which I think I kind of like it that way. And then I pulled a couple potatoes as well. Here they are, these two, they're on the left and they're on the right, and I move these to the back to this bare spot. Over on this side of the garden, I've got corn that I bought at Home Depot. You see there? Peaches and cream corn. The ones I planted in the front and one of these in the back are not really growing that big, but the others are coming up pretty quick. Over here, I planted corn seed, and they're almost as tall as the plants that I bought that were already established. So what I might do, thinking right over in here, I'm going to plant some more corn seed, and maybe I'll get some late corn. So what I'll be planting are some of these Triple Crown White Hybrid Sweet Corn seeds. This is what I've got left over. And I planted a combination of yellow and white corn in here. You see some of it has fallen over and then come back, but I've got a bare spot here, so I'll plant some seeds here. This one, I put a stake in the ground and zip tied it to the stake. I may end up doing it with that little one right there as well. I don't know if they're leaning because of the wind or they're leaning to get more sunlight, but I'm not even too sure if planting corn this late will yield any results, but that's part of the fun of gardening for me. Just like it's an experiment. So let's see what happens. Planting it on, what is today? June 29th? Let's see what comes up. So the yellow onions and the red onions, I filled this entire thing with them, and there's been some takers, but some of this other stuff has just kind of died down. Now I don't know if it went dormant or it just didn't take. You can see there's a lot of weeds in there. I've got onion bulbs. I may just go ahead and plant those. I just don't know if I want to do it now or at the end of the season, and then just cover this up with leaves in the fall and just see if they come up strong next year. The green onions are coming up like crazy. I've got more than I can eat. Squash is doing okay. The whole beans are doing okay. Celery's doing good. Some of the other squash in there and the cucumbers are doing good. But I'm a little bit pessimistic. Something always dies every year, so we'll see what happens. How do you tell your carrots from a weed? Well, I didn't think carrots had these at the end, so let's find out. Nope, that's a carrot. So it looks like a weed, but it's a carrot. I'll go ahead and dig a hole and let that grow. Those came up from last year. The lettuce is doing so-so, and the strawberries really haven't produced yet. You can see the raspberries are starting to. And my attempt to grow bush beans in this pot failed. So there's the first casualty of the year. So I ended up transplanting more than I originally planned. I went ahead and put my yellow bell pepper back here where there was a bare spot. That's where I planted bush beans, and one more year they just didn't come up. Now, I haven't had much luck with bell peppers back here, but I don't think it was doing so well in that pot. I think it just needs some room to, you have to pardon the highway noise, needs some room to kind of grow. I decided to go ahead and empty a lot of pots. Over here, next to where I transplanted those red potatoes earlier today, I decided to take the ones that were growing in the pot and put those over there as well and just keep them all together. You can see the carrots that I transplanted are in shock, but I think they'll come back. Same thing's going to happen here with the Better Boy tomato plant here. I think it's going to go into shock, but it'll come back. You see it's starting to turn colors, but I think it's because it was just trapped in that pot. There's the Mexibel and the 2 garden salsa plants, and back there I went ahead and planted the corn seed. We'll see what happens. I may end up transplanting some of the mystery peppers over in the corner of the yard to other spots in the garden, but for right now I've got a lot of open space that's been filled in. Right here I've got room. Maybe that's where I'll put one of the mystery pepper plants. And I still have a lot of weeding to do. There's still some things in here that are not part of the garden. So it's always a little bit of work, but I found this is really good exercise. Kind of helps me get outside, get some fresh air, get some exercise, and it's kind of fun. It's kind of rewarding. You see there's the pumpkin I put in the pot to see how well it grows. So between the exercise, the fresh air, doing my little experiments, and maybe getting a few good things to eat, especially pepper plants peppers that they don't sell at the grocery store, it's a lot of fun. I recommend it for anybody who's looking for some activity that's rewarding. And you don't have to do everything all at once. You could just expand your garden a little bit every year if you want. Thanks for watching.